Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show, rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airways and strap in as we defend the Constitution. Because freedom matters.
We are broadcasting live from the Kida studio, so welcome to the Ho-Ho Show. And as always, I am your host, Ho-Ho. I forgot to do something. I really did. I very much forgot to do something. I apologize about that. I definitely forgot to do something. You see, I was changing my my plan on Spreaker. That's what I was wanting to do, you know. And like I had the Anchorman plan, and you know, it just you know, I did stupid. You know, I canceled the plan, and because I wanted to step her down a little bit, and it was like, I don't want to do that, you know, because wanted to. Oh wait, hold on. See, I'm trying to like multitask and get something done. There we go. All right. But yeah, I was wanting to step down my plan, and it was like, you know, a pain because they wouldn't just let you step down your plan. What are you doing? No, not now. Shush. But what doesn't let you do it the easy way? That's it. That's all I want. So now I'm trying to do this, and, you know, this is going to be hilarious and entertaining. But here in just a second, I'll actually get it done. I promise. No. Not that you... Okay. Maybe that'll let me do it. See, I didn't actually look at this ahead of time. So we're just kind of floating around here just a little bit. Continue. Yep, continue. Whatever. Now what? I think we're good. Let's try this again. Kabam, kabam. We're going to start something. Actually, we're just going to do this. And I'll have to edit this in post. Yeah, that's what we'll do. All right, hold on a second. Oh.
Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show, rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airways and strap in as we defend the Constitution. Because freedom matters.
Yeah, so we're broadcasting live again. Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show. I'm Ho-Ho. That was a good time. That was a good time, guys. So, all right, and I'll fix this in post. Now, we'll, like, go back and just remove that first intro because that was holy crap. So, guys, we got some things to talk about today. Besides me completely screwing up Spreaker, which was absolutely hilarious. So, you know, hey, welcome, everybody. This is a good time. This is going to be fun. So, guys, first off, you know, so I've had some, you know, some neat stuff going on, you know, here. And it's been quite entertaining for me. You know, my mom got remarried over last weekend. I officiated the wedding, which I thought was pretty stinking awesome. It was hilarious. You know, of course I did it, you know, my typical, you know, self. It was quite entertaining for me, you know. But yeah, it was fun. So yeah, I officiate weddings now, apparently. I'm ordained. Don't look at me like that, you know. Online, yay! It was fun. It really was. It was a good time. It was very, very neat, you know. So yeah, I was excited about all that. But yeah, just so much stuff going on. Just been busy. So we're going to go ahead and start with just an absolutely hilarious article that I've seen by Boing Boing, which is Not something I ever thought I'd be saying on the show. And quite frankly, I've never even heard of these people before. But this headline, like I said, absolutely entertaining. Check this out. Woman banned from Dollar General after trying to use a $1 million banknote to pay for stuff. Okay. All right. When you guys receive these, which this is what happened to her. She got this in the mail as a gift from a local church. She, during the investigation or questioning or whatever, she did not say where she received it from, but that's what happened. Now, guys, look, when you get these, $1 million for free, it's fake. I can't believe. Wait, no, okay, I guess I can believe it. I mean, come on, Tide Pods. Remove the clothing from the child before you throw it in the washing machine. Remove the baby from the stroller before you fold it up and put it in your trunk. I mean, this is the world we are living in today. I don't know. So, apparently, she tried to pay for a bunch of stuff using a $1 million banknote and was apparently surprised to find out that it was fake. It's like, what, you mean this isn't legal tender? You mean this person gave me money, like $1 million, and it wasn't free? $1 million, and it wasn't free? Okay. I seen that, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. That is absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And I seen this other article from the Red State. And, this one, again, it made me laugh. Now, you all have seen, just the different things that are going on, with Coca-Cola, the different, the racial stuff that they're doing and the training that they're wanting people to do. And it's not just Coca-Cola. There's I think 100 different companies that are doing this in total. Yeah, 100 different companies that are doing similar stuff. But this headline from, like I said, the Red State, with Republicans after... No, wait, hold on. Let me scroll up a little bit. Coca-Cola wants to make nice with Republicans after spitting in their faces. Basically, their numbers has kind of plummeted a little bit. They're getting some backlash from all this stuff because it's absolutely ridiculous. And now that they're kind of, getting some backlash from it, now that their numbers are starting to go down with their sales and whatnot, now they're like, you know what, maybe we need to turn this around a little bit. And hello, Sam, over there in Facebook land. Good to see you. He says, what's happening when the gene pool doesn't have a lifeguard? Lifeguard idiots everywhere, apparently. Yeah. That's talking about the $100, or I'm sorry, $1 million banknote. Yeah, that's hilarious. My thing is, and I'm sure, Sam, you could, you back me on this one. I'm of the mindset, it's like, just remove all the warning labels. That's my thing. Just get rid of them. Let nature take care of itself. I mean, if you need a warning label to tell you to remove the child from a car seat before you fold it, if you need a warning label that says take the clothes off the child before you put it in the washing machine, well, just saying, just throwing that out there. There's just something wrong with you, there's just definitely something wrong with you. This is the world we're living in. Tide Pod, licking the toilet seat of a toilet in a bathroom, public bathroom. Yeah, those were actual trends. People were doing that. I don't get it. I absolutely don't get it, guys. I really don't. Just got to be honest with you. So yeah, Coca-Cola, they're now kind of backpedaling a little bit on this. And of course, they're not fooling anybody. They're not doing this because they've suddenly had because they've had a change of heart. That's not why they're doing this whatsoever. They're doing this purely for profits. That's the only reason why they're doing this. Everybody knows it. They're not fooling anybody. Are you fooled by this? I don't think so. I'm not fooled by it. I'm really not. So guys, considering I've had such a huge mess up in the beginning of this, and, now I've got through those things, we do have some other things that we're going to talk about. We're going to be talking about some Biden stuff, dealing with the border wall, the immigration crisis, and Fauci and Ted Cruz and Jim Jordan. You know, we do have some stuff to talk about, and we are going to get into that right after I take this quick break. So just a couple minutes, guys, and I'll be right back. Have you ever had an ailment that a normal over-the-counter remedy just couldn't fight? If this is the case, then boy, have I got the solution for you. Tussin. That's right, Tussin. Cough? Tussin. Cold? Tussin. Runny nose? Tussin. Itchy watery eyes? Tussin. Broken leg? Tussin. Tussin is the ultimate cure-all, guaranteed to stop anything that ails you. Tussin. Available wherever OTCs are sold. That's actually not the one I intended on playing. I was going to do the Tide Pod Brain Colon Cleanse because I thought that was pretty fitting considering the last topic of what we were discussing. And hello, Dave, over there in Facebook land. How you doing? Good to see you over there. So, guys, we're going to start off by talking about, I don't want to say I told you so, but some of this is a little bit of I told you so. Now, first off, we're going to start off with this headline from Detroit Free Press. And this, I got to take that off. That was an oops. So this headline says that Republicans say ignorant people shouldn't vote. I say go for it, starting with your own. Now, I was reading into this article, and they were stating that, you know, this just with how people don't understand civics and government and things of that nature, that maybe they really shouldn't be voting about, you know, civics and politics, considering how little people know. And of which case, my immediate thought was, well, wouldn't that be a problem with the education system? I mean, if we're wanting to say that, quote unquote, stupid people shouldn't be voting, well, maybe we should do a better job on educating people on civics and government and politics and what the government should and should not be doing. This way they can make more of an educated decision on things of that nature. That just makes total sense to me, but apparently total sense and common sense, I mean, apparently they're just not real big things in government. And awesome. Well, thank you, sir. He said he shared it and whatnot. So awesome. And now there is a thing like back in the day. Okay, there was restrictions to whether people or how people could, well, not really how people, but who could vote. There used to be restrictions on this. And back then, the restrictions were only landowners were able to vote. And I, can't say as if I, at least in today's day and age, I don't agree with that, but I do agree with having restrictions on who can vote. Now, I'm not talking about race, color, creed, any of that kind of crap. I'm talking about zero liability voters. Okay, you may have heard that term tossed around, but basically and simply speaking, a zero liability voter is somebody whom doesn't pay taxes, or at least gets more back in taxes than what they pay in taxes. Now, I'm not talking with the COVID relief bill. I'm not talking about that type of stuff, but in general, if you are a zero liability voter, then you should not be able to vote on where the money goes that the government spends, considering it's not your money that's being spent. It's other people's money that's being spent. So on that aspect, I think, yeah, there should be restrictions, okay? Because if that was the case, think about it. A zero liability voter doesn't care how much money we send to Pakistan for gender studies. They don't care. Why? Because it's not their money. If it was their money, maybe they would have a little bit of a pause and say, maybe we should put Americans first, before we start building this, that, and the other and sending money overseas and doing all this kind of ridiculous crap. Maybe, just maybe, if we were more responsible with our money, that we would be able to accomplish more. What a novel idea, Dave puts a good question in here, backing up to the, doing a better job in teaching civics. He goes, but who is going to teach it that we trust? And you got a point on that. Because, think about it, and this is one of the things that is a problem whenever you're talking with the education system and government-controlled education, not public education, because it is controlled by the government. It is government education. And this is a discussion that I had with somebody, several years ago. They were like, oh, the states are in control of, the education system. And I was like, really? Who pays for it? Who actually dictates what is going to be taught? Because the bottom line is, it's the Department of Education that says, this is the test that you must conduct, and you have to have a minimum of this amount of your student base pass said test, meaning you have to teach the test. If you have to teach the test, is it the state that's in control of the education, or is it the federal government by holding money ransom? It's pretty simple to me. It's the federal government in control of it. But that's a problem, though, with the education, because if you're going to tell people that, on one hand, that capitalism is grand, that competition is competitive by trying to get the customer, a broader customer base, and then you're going to tell me that, the education having absolutely no or very limited, because for the government, they win-win, doesn't really matter. They get your tax dollars, it doesn't really matter. Whether or not you can afford to send your kids to a private education, to get private education after that, doesn't really matter to the federal government, because they already are getting your money. They don't care. So you have capitalism that is boss, is king, is great, breeds, success in a lot of different places, and only the customer benefits from it. And then you have monopolies, which customers don't benefit from monopoly in the Department of Education. Government education in general. It's pretty clear on that one. Since 1978, which is when the, government-controlled education, that's whenever Department of Education was even founded. Ever since then, we have been slowly declining on our quality of education. Back then, you could get a high school education and you learned a lot. You learned trades. You learned welding. You learned building a house. You learned farming. You learned agriculture. You learned a lot of different things. Nowadays, you don't really learn a lot of that. Some of it you still do, but a lot of it, no. They've taken a lot of that stuff out of the education. And now, in order to get the equivalent to what it was back whenever my father went to school, you pretty much have to have an associate's degree in college in order to get the same level of education, not just what you learn and how you learn, but the amount of stuff that you learn. I mean, they've really dumbed down education a lot because an uneducated electorate is easier to control. I mean, that's the reason. Isn't that the bottom line of it? I mean, think about it. If you don't know what freedoms you have, how can you complain whenever your freedoms are taken away? You can't. I mean, there's a lot of things. I love that argument that I hear from the left. It's like, oh, give me one freedom that you've lost in the last so many years. It's like, well, one, why do I have to pay the government to fish out of a body of water with a fishing license? Why do I need to do that? There's a lot of things in there that, it's just, it's ridiculous, Yeah, you have a lot of that type of stuff going on. Sam put in here, he goes, my kid failed out first semester and they just passed her along. She's I ain't going to repeat that. But yeah, you're right though. That whole no child left behind type of a thing, and that's the thing. And this is just in all honesty that, that there's with how the education system is set up, it is geared more towards female than male, just for the simple fact is guys learn different. Okay. Guys are more hands-on and less, book learning. A book learning may give you an academic understanding and appreciation of something, but it isn't necessarily going to teach you how something really works. It's really not. You got to get your hands dirty for something like that. And that's how boys, succeed in education. And that's why, back then, there was a lot more hands-on learning-based education. And that's the way it should be. You should have that variation in there to where people that learn different ways has that ability to learn those ways that they learn only makes it better. But when you have the government controlling the education system, they think one size fits all. One size don't fit all. It definitely, one size does not fit all. Ow! That hurt. That was my funny bone. That wasn't really funny. So yeah, issues with that. I don't want that. And then you have different aspects of this. Now, this was something that I was sliding into earlier, talking about, zero liability voters. This headline from Mrs. Institute. Okay, yeah. Sam puts in here, he goes, this remote learning is a joke. It absolutely is. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that later. But yes, this remote learning, it is absolutely a joke. That we have been having more problems with education, with everything, with, psychological issues with our children, antisocial issues with our children, a lot of different issues that has been coming up, all because of the COVID thing. And, like I said, we're going to be talking a little bit about that later. But first, from the Mrs. Institute, at least I think that's how you pronounce that, how you say that. The left understands that taxation is theft, and that's why they support it. You see, if you don't know, again, your rights, if you are a zero liability voter, you are less apt to actually pay attention to where those funds are going to. I mean, guys, go look at the website at some point in time of where our money actually goes to, how many millions of dollars. I mean, guys, we are just a charity case for just giving away funds. I mean, we really are. We give money to Honduras. We give money to Mexico. We give money to a lot of different countries. I don't mean just a little bit. I mean a lot of bit. We just give money like it's going out of style. Does it matter to us? Nope, we just print more. It doesn't matter. Because if the money isn't in the American economy, then it kind of sort of doesn't really affect our economy, even though it really does still affect our economy because it is money that still is in the workforce, or I'm sorry, that still is out there. So it does affect it. But it is theft. Yeah, borrowing money to give away. Who does that? Yeah, exactly. Apparently the federal government does, because they don't see an issue with it. Here you have the war on drugs. You have education being an issue in our country. We have, homelessness being an issue with veterans, and it's a lot of different issues. And yet we're going to give money away like it's going out of style. And again, if we had an education system that actually educated civics, government, a voting base that actually understood that it's my money. There's no such thing as free money. I mean, this, these stimulus checks, would you really need them if the government didn't already take your money? And I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. But yeah, they don't have an issue with it. And this is all across the board. I mean, this isn't just left. This is right too. This is Republicans. They may lessen the spending a little bit, but whenever they lessen the spending, they really don't lessen the spending. They lessen the projected spending because they already put an increase that they just it's baked into the numbers, an increase every single year. And what they try to do is lessen that impact to where you're not increasing as much as what you would before. It's the projected. That's one of the ways that they lie about numbers. And government is great about lying about numbers. He says, Dave put in there, he goes, the infrastructure bill is a big waste of money too. Absolutely. I mean, heck, this was already tried, during Obama's presidency, the shovel-ready jobs that weren't so shovel-ready. And where did all that go? How much stuff actually got done? And guys, I'm a truck driver. I spend a lot of time out there on the road, going under and over bridges and on roadways and different things of that nature. And, wasn't so shovel ready. Definitely wasn't so shovel ready. Moving on. Now, here is where I'm getting into the whole, the I told you so kind of thing. Because I was talking earlier about shows ago, okay, the different things that the president was going to be, or that Biden was going to, I have a hard time calling him president, As far as I'm concerned, and this is, you guys may find this hilarious, the whole saying that, the Trump was not my president, not my president. Well, Biden's not mine, and I'll tell you why. If you steal something, that does not make it yours. The fraud has never been solved. Whether it happened, whether it didn't happen, it never seen its day in court. Never did. And until it actually gets investigated, you can't tell me that he's my president. Like I said, theft does not constitute ownership. You rob a bank, it doesn't matter what your intentions are. It doesn't matter how many people say, oh, well, maybe he should have that. That doesn't matter. It's still theft, and that money that you robbed from the bank doesn't belong to you. It still belongs to the bank. And when you're arrested and when you go to prison, that money is going to go back to the bank. It's not going to go under your name. It's going to go back to them. So theft does not constitute ownership. Therefore, I'm not going to say that Biden is my president, but he still sits in the office. And this headline from Newsmax, Biden Supreme Court will mean end of independent judiciary. He's got some things that he's looking to do on this. He's looking to make some changes, all right? He's looking to make changes on the Supreme Court's job, what type of cases they can take. He is looking to make changes in how long they can serve, even how many people are sitting on the bench. Now, this is something that I and a lot of other people along the way has said, whenever he would not say no or yes as to whether he was going to pack the Supreme Court, that's exactly what this is looking to do, pack the Supreme Court. And this right here is just kind of feelers out there on how easy it's going to be for him. How much can they actually do in this? Okay? There are three separate but equal branches of government. The judiciary, to write laws, the executive, to carry out those laws, and the judiciary in order to make sure that those laws don't violate the Constitution. So that's the interpretation. They don't have the constitutional right to go against the Constitution. They don't have that. They're not out there to talk about the merits of the Second Amendment, because the merits of the Second Amendment is pretty clear. You know, you want to say that that's only involves a musket because the founding fathers could have never have dreamed a world where we had semi-automatic and full semi-automatic weapons and all this other kind of crap. You know, okay, sure, fine, all right. I'll go along with that whenever you stand on a soapbox on the public square and you yell it at me. Whenever you whenever you take ink from a quill on parchment, put it in an envelope, give it to a guy riding a horse, and he rides it over to me. Whenever you do that, then maybe I'll listen to your argument, because I'm sure our founding fathers could never have imagined a world where we had interwebs and all this other kind of cell phones and everything else and platforms like this. Never would have dreamed something like that. So if the Second Amendment doesn't go for that, then how come it protects this type of speech on this type of platform? Because it shouldn't. Should it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So the judiciary isn't charged with interpreting the Constitution. It's interpreting the laws that the legislative writes against the Constitution and say this is valid or it isn't valid. And that is it. Now, granted, the legislative branch can determine how many seats that they have, that the Supreme Court has, in which case, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's all right. You know, I have no issues with that. I have no qualms with that. And something that is a common misconception that a lot of people don't realize is that there's nothing in the Constitution that says that a Supreme Court appointment is a lifetime appointment. It's really not. And Supreme Court justices has been removed for different things. So there's nothing in there that says that it's a lifetime appointment. And in all honesty, I don't see why it's treated as such. I mean, there has been people whom have kind of gone a little loopy, and they have been removed of office for that reason, because if you're, senile, you don't remember what you had for breakfast, then maybe you shouldn't, be sitting on the Supreme Court as a justice. And yeah, I agree with that. There should be, and I don't know why the founding fathers didn't put this in there, but there should be something that says, okay, maybe we should look at this more. But this is the thing, though, guys. They have the impeachment. So if the legislative branch felt that a Supreme Court justice wasn't quite up to the job, they can remove him from office. That's what the impeachment is there for, not just for eliminating a political adversary of an orange man bad. That's not the only reason why impeachment was in there. It was in there for other reasons, such as removing an incompetent, not up to the job, not able to fulfill his duties, justice. That is one of the points. So, I mean, yes, okay, now this is the thing that kind of sucks, all right? Yes, I believe in that they should maybe limit it, but at the same time, they already have that. That's in all honesty, I was against the whole idea that the president has limits. I mean, the founding fathers didn't put that in there. We were the limits to how many terms a president can serve. You don't vote him in office the next time. Same thing goes with Congress people, with House of Representatives, and I'm leaving the Senate out of this because they were never supposed to be elected by the people, but that's beside the point. We are the ones who have the power to remove them from office. There's no need to put that limit on there. We just need to wisen up. Stop voting for these people. I'm never going to forget, man, 2012, never going to forget this. 96, they only had a 4% approval rating in 2012. 2 weeks later, like 90+% of the people that were running won. How, whenever you only have a 4% approval rating, how come 90% of the people that were running get reelected? Nobody liked the job they were doing, but they still got reelected. Are you kidding me? And then people are stupid. Dave puts in there, he goes, I think there's too much and unnecessary emphasis on the Supreme Court. I don't think the Supreme Court affects my daily walk or my immediate future. And, for the most part, I completely agree with you, Dave. But, there is an aspect of this. He puts in here that I'm not saying that the Supreme Court is not important. I'm just saying that they're just not that important. I'm assuming you mean that instead of they. And, for the most part, I agree with you on that. But whenever you have a law that says, this, okay, like with Obamacare, for instance, okay, I'm going to use this as an example, Obamacare, because it was not a tax, then it was a tax, and then it was a this, and then it was a that, and it was a penalty and everything else. And what the Supreme Court was supposed to do whenever that lawsuit went to them was go, okay, look, this law, this Affordable Care Act goes against the Constitution because it can't be this, it can't be that. So instead of striking the bill down, which is exactly what they should have done. Now, mind you, the Supreme Court was supposed to be the unpolitical branch of government because it wasn't about party, it wasn't about party affiliation, it wasn't about anything. It was about the Constitution. That's what it was set up as. A branch of government that was outside. Now, I'm not going to say that it was outside the control of the people, but they were supposed to be held liable and accountable to the Constitution and liable to the people through the legislative branch who had the power to impeach them. Okay. There you go. But their job was to strike down the Affordable Care Act because it was unconstitutional how it was written. Because they had 5 different ways on whether it was or whether it wasn't a tax, a penalty, a whatever in the stinking law. But instead of striking it down, like what they were charged to do, they took the legislative branch into it and used the legislative power that they did not have. They rewrote the Affordable Care Act in order to make it, quote unquote, legal, something that they were not supposed to be doing. Whether or not you agree with the Affordable Care Act doesn't really matter. It was still unconstitutional. And if something like that was going to be done, it should have been done through the states. That at least would have been a more constitutional way to go about doing it. But instead, no. But whenever you have unconstitutional laws get written, it is the job of the Supreme Court to balance out what it was put in there to be a safeguard, is what I'm saying. It was put in there to be a safeguard. Moving on. So this is a step in politicizing what was founded and set up as a non-political branch of government with the Supreme Court. That's what they're doing. Okay? And this is something that, even going back to, I believe it was, 1937, whenever FDR talked about packing the Supreme Court and other people in there saying that it was a bad idea. Actually, Biden once, he said it was a bonehead idea because you shouldn't do that. You just shouldn't. I mean, think about it. What happens if what happens if Biden goes ahead and puts 3 or 4 more justices in there, 4 more justices in there? What happens? Well, the next president is going to put 4 more in there, and then 4 more in there, and then 4 more in there. And it's just going to keep going until you have just as many Supreme Court justices as you have seats in the House of Representatives. There comes a time whenever it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I don't see why we need 9. But whatever. I guess they were mad that President Trump was able to put 3 people in there. I guess they really wasn't happy about that. Not happy about that. Get off of there. Okay. Now, moving on a little bit to this article. From the Daily Wire, Biden finally admits that the border crisis that has erupted under his presidency is a crisis. Now, they've been tossing back this word. They've been tossing it around. They've been, kind of hinting about it. And people have brought it up and then goes, oh, so you're admitting it's a crisis. Well, we're not going that far by saying it's a crisis. But, what's going on there is kind of crisis-like, kind of looks like it. Looks like a duck, smells like a duck. But I can't go out and say it's a duck just yet. We got to wait. We got to wait for King Biden in order to tell us that it's a duck. But there's been a lot of back and forth on this. There's been a lot of controversy, even in the Democratic Party, on what's going on at the border. There really has been. Okay? You have AOC and, okay, now, do I really want to talk about this first? Yeah, why not? The heck with it. You have Ilhan Omar, AOC, and other Democrats that have been slamming Biden over his decision to not raise the cap of refugees coming in, because I guess the original cap was like whatever thousands, and then he was supposed to raise it to like 4 times the amount of what the cap was, and then he was kind of like, wait, hold on a minute, maybe we need to rethink this. But you had, because of the promise of raising the gap by 4 times from the Biden administration, you had people just flocking to the border, and holy crap. But you didn't apparently get the order down to the border agents that says, just let them in. So they're all down there, a butt ton of them, and I guess it's crazy. It's crazy down there. It really is. And they know that they've screwed up, the Biden administration. They know they've screwed up. They absolutely know that they've screwed up because, here you have all these people down there. They wasn't able to take them in. They're not able to house them. In fact, there's talks about, building housing for them while we have, veterans dying in the street. Heaven forbid we have an illegal immigrant that should just go back to their own stinking country, but instead we're going to house them here. Not to mention that they're wanting all these people to come in and they're wanting all this stuff to happen without doing any type of COVID's screening at all. Here we have a pandemic going on with the COVIDs. We can't even open up our schools to 100%. We can't do that. We can't do any of that. But yet here we're going to, and you guys are going to love this. You guys are going to love this. We have teachers unions and teachers fighting over whether to open up the schools 100% full capacity, in-person learning. And in the meantime, you have teachers saying that we feel so bad about these illegal immigrant children that are just dreamers and they want a better life but they don't have an opportunity to get educated, and so I'm going to give my time and do in-person learning for illegal immigrants. Yeah, you absolutely heard me correctly. We can't do in-person learning for the citizens of the United States of America, but illegal immigrants who come across the border to, as Sam put it, and I agree, as an invasion, we're going to educate them in-person learning from the teachers who are supposed to be educating our kids. I have a problem with that. Sam put in here, it's an invasion, and we're putting them in hotels. Invaders, while American homeless eat garbage and freeze, talk about a waste or abuse of tax money. Absolutely. And that's exactly what it is. It's an invasion. You know, they try to tell us numbers that, you know, guys, look, any number that you hear from the government as far as how many people have come across and how many illegal immigrants there are, I mean, come on. You know, we couldn't do anything about, you know, the Portland, Oregon riots and all of that stuff. You know, couldn't do anything about that. But, you know, FBI was just distraught and hopelessly inadequate on dealing with the situation and, you know, putting an end to it and stopping any riots and, you know, bringing justice to the people who, you know, the families of those who lost their lives and the families of those whose businesses burned to the ground and all of that. And nothing was able to be done for these people. But yet, with the riot at the Capitol, the FBI was able to track down all them people, track them down, figure out who they are, bring them to justice. They were able to do that. But yet we can't find illegal aliens. And I get sick and tired of the argument of, you know, it's like, what do you expect us to do? Do you expect us to separate families? I mean, these are people that we should really care about. It's like, dude, break a law. You, as an American citizen, break a law. Go rob a bank. Do a home invasion with somebody. Not in Texas. Might not end well for you. Do it in New York. You'll go to jail. You'll be separated from your children. Why are illegal aliens afforded more rights, more benefits than an actual citizen of the United States of America? Citizenship no longer means anything. It's all about residency, apparently. It's all about residency. So he finally admits that there's a crisis at the border. I know a while back ago, you know, there was, you know, Sean Hannity, you know, tried to get a film crew down in there, and I guess Ted Cruz was able to get some footage of stuff, but, you know, they were basically telling people, you know, don't go down here, don't come down here to, you know, to take footage, take pictures, nothing. Dave puts in there, he goes, it's a distorted view of compassion. Yes, it is. You know, now look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I mean, like, you know, I feel for these people. I really do. Okay. But we spend millions of money to send them down to Honduras to take care of these people, and then Honduras pocket the money, and then they send them up here to us. And we're paying for them twice. Why are we sending money to Honduras to take care of their population and allow Honduras to just cart their population on up to us? Why is that? I feel for these people. I really do. And we have laws regarding immigration already. If Ilhan Omar is so upset about things at the border, if AOC is so upset about how things are going on at the border, if Maxine Waters is so upset about that, why don't, instead of how AOC likes to do it, okay, berate somebody who is, you know, an ICE agent for how their officers carry out the orders and the laws and upholding them that Congress writes? Why berate him for doing his job whenever what we really need, and I will agree with this, reforming immigration? I agree with that. We need reformation. But don't berate a cop who's doing his job whenever you are refusing to do yours, because that's exactly what they're doing. I'm going to berate this cop for arresting and detaining and deporting illegal immigrants instead of actually bringing true reform to immigration, which isn't that what they want anyway? But they don't want to do it. You know, Ilhan Omar and AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez would much rather complain to somebody else about them doing their job and not liking the job that's being done instead of her doing her job and actually bringing real reform. This has been a problem for quite a while. This has been a problem ever since Ronald Reagan. Have they fixed the problem yet? No. Instead, let's bring him in and we'll do amnesty. Even this article from where's it from? Fox News. George Bush calls for a gradual citizenship path for illegal immigrants, but says that amnesty is unfair. Absolutely. He was the last person, well, not the last person, because, you know, President Trump was the last person, but he was one of the people that got duped into, hey, if you guys do the wall, we'll do amnesty, and you know, they got amnesty, we never got a wall, and that's why President Trump was like, no, I'm not giving you amnesty because you guys already promised a wall that you failed to deliver on. Why don't you guys fix immigration? Sam put in here, why is Mexico allowing it? We should be negotiating with Mexican cartels instead of the Mexican government. A trail of headless refugees would be a great deterrent to the southern invasion. You know what? Actually, Sam, that's under Trump, we actually did have a lot better relationship on this with Mexico, okay? Because prior to the president talking with, you know, the president of Mexico, prior to that, they started detaining them and having, you know, to do your amnesty down there in Mexico and, you know, less transportation to bring them from the southern border passing through Mexico to our southern border. There was a lot less of that under President Trump. A lot less of that. They acknowledged and understood that the cartels, this is really bad. Maybe we shouldn't have our southern border open because people can use this to do terrorist activities, as we have had terrorists come through the southern border. So under President Trump, things were a lot better because the president did see the issue and was like, you know, let's see if we can't lessen this. He acknowledged that, you know what, yes, this migration from south to north is hard on people. It leaves a lot of people dead. It's unhealthy, you know, because they can't get proper nutrition and everything else until they get closer, and then they're given free T-shirts, and holy crap, then they look really, really good for some reason. But until then, you got a lot of travel, and with the coyotes and everything else that are along the border, cartels and whatnot, human trafficking, that's a bad thing. It's like, you know, if we're going to make this safer for immigrants, maybe, just maybe, we need to set up something to where we can actually help out the refugees, the people that are actually seeking asylum and that are actually wanting to better themselves instead of just allowing the drug cartel to do whatever the heck they want to. Things were better under President Trump, but you never heard that from mainstream media. Dave put in here, it's like, why do they get a pass? But somehow we, the USA, is not only the world's policeman, we're the world's social worker and babysitter. That's craziness, and absolutely, Dave, I 100% agree with you on that. Not only are we the, you know, world's police and the world's babysitter and social worker, we're apparently the world's checkbook as well. Because remember, we give away free money to all these countries. You know, whether you agree with China politics, I got to give it up to the Chinese government. You know, they don't just give money away to another country. They don't just do that. They don't do that at all. Their question is, oh, you need money. Oh. What do we get in return? Ain't nothing for free. You want food? We want your oil. We don't just want your oil. We want the oil rights on the land where the oil is getting pumped out of. That's what China does. Hate China or love China, they at least figured out how to loan, how to get some type of compensation. We haven't figured that out yet, apparently, because we just give money away. We just throw it away. Just throw it out there. Who wants money? It's like throwing a bouquet at a wedding. That's what we do. We give it away. We don't ask for anything in return. It's not like we even ask them to sign a piece of paper that says, yes, I got this. I'm going to pay it back. No. We just take it. Nothing. It's like we can't get it out of our hands quick enough. China's at least figured it out. I give them that. They've at least figured it out. They don't just give something. They get something in return. Why haven't we figured that out yet? Who knows? Who knows? Let me see here. There was oh yeah, we're going to talk about that. All right, guys, we are going to take another quick break. And when I return, we're going to talk a little bit about the COVIDs. We're going to talk a little bit about, that was my armrest. Just saying, that wasn't me. So we're going to talk a little bit about the COVIDs. We're going to talk a little bit about Fauci. We're going to talk about just people starting to kind of wisen up on some of this stuff. We'll get into that right after this quick break. Do you love your occasional Mexican dish or your musical fruit? Are you tired of walking by family members and crop dusting them? Well, if this has ever happened to you, might I introduce you to Tampons brand butt plugs. Tampons brand butt plugs is that particular type of butt plug that allows you to walk in public in confidence knowing that you're not going to accidentally crop dust somebody. Tampons brand butt plugs now with the plastic applicator.
Not just for women anymore.
Tampons brand butt plugs. Welcome back. Yes, Tampons brand butt plugs. We are going into that because now we're going to talk about Fauci. Oh yeah, I love that segue. Oh yeah. Okay, gotta love the Kool-Aid man. Anyway, this article from IJR, the Western Journal. There it is. Fauci admits under oath that Biden admin is pushing CDC guidelines on Americans, but not on illegal immigrants. Well, I got to take something off, put something on. There we go. The other headline I read was, where did it go? Yeah, Fauci admits that Biden admin is yeah, whatever. Which kind of ties into the last segment with, all them COVID positive people not actually doing testing and Fauci admitting that, they're violating guidelines on the border, but, here they want to have all these guidelines in place for American citizens. Now, guys, I tell you what, with all these guidelines that have been in place, all right, now I'm not going to argue whether or not you think that these things were valid and, whether you agree with any of them or not. That's not where I'm going with this. But what I do want to point out is the hypocrisy and how everywhere they were on these guidelines. It's okay to do this, but it's not okay to do that. It's okay to do this, but not the other. They had their regulations, their rules, their mandates. Let's call them what they were, mandates. We're all over the place. You can be in a car, but you can't be on a boat with your family. You can be in your car with your family, but not on a boat on Lake Michigan with your family. You can go to Walmart, but you can't go to Target, I guess. I don't know. You can go to a corner station that sells booze and liquor, but you can't go to a vape shop. None of their rules made sense. You can celebrate a funeral or mourn a funeral, I guess, but you can't celebrate a wedding. You can do... Their mandates were all over the place, and none of them made any sense. None of them. They were all over the place with these masks. And I tell you what, let's do a little bit of common sense here. Have you guys seen, because we're talking about a virus that escaped a level 4 biolab. Now, have you guys seen what people wear in a level 4 biolab? Have you guys seen that? Let's see, I don't even know what you'd call that. Full level 4 biolab stuff. Okay, here we go. I'm glad that Google knows what the heck I'm trying to say. Now, this actually isn't even accurate. This first picture I've seen right here, this is not accurate whatsoever. Okay. Here we go. This is more close to being accurate. Okay, so level 4 biolab. All right. This is the kind of getup you're going to wear. Something like this. The full-on suit where you got the internal respiration stuff going on. You've got, the filtration system. You're hooked up to oxygen through the ventilation system. You are completely closed off for the entire environment around you. We are talking a virus that escaped a level 4 biolab, and they were wearing that getup. And you're going to tell me that this is going to save your life. I've seen this meme on the Facebooks, and it was, different masks, that people wear for doing different things. You've got masks that miners wear. You have masks that an automobile painter is going to use, you're painting, that type of stuff. You've got, different masks for different things, for doing drywall, for doing this, that, and the other, okay? You have all these different masks that you're supposed to wear for doing these things, and then, like real masks, with filtration on them and canisters. You got to change. And then you have a deadly virus that escaped the level 4 biolab, and you're going to use a C95. And then you have Fauci, who said that, well, you really should wear this type of mask, but we didn't want our medical professionals not being able to get that mask, so I lied to you and said, oh, no, you don't need that. He admitted lying to us. But again, none of it made sense. None of it. And now here we are, a year later. I can speak, really I can. A year later, here we are. And now, because, and here's the thing too, they were like, we got to flatten the curve. We flattened the curve. Well, now we got to do this. Now we got to eliminate everything. We got to close down. We can't open up anything. We got to do all this stuff for the safety of people. It's been proven that red states seem to do better than blue states. Down in Florida, they're doing pretty good. Doing a lot better than New York and Michigan. I mean, heck, Michigan, they targeted the people that the research, in even early research, because that's what the governor of Florida listened to, was the research that was being done. And he found out that, maybe we need to protect our elderly. And did a pretty good job. A lot better than states that locked everything down. And then it was, we need to get the vaccine out. And now we need to get to that critical mass of people being vaccinated. And now you have Ted Cruz, who's saying that, that I will no longer wear a mask in the Capitol because I'm vaccinated. Why do I need to wear a mask in the Capitol? I mean, that's what we were waiting on this whole time, right? A vaccine. Now that we have it, it's like, no, we still can't. We still have to do the social distancing and wear a mask. We still can't open anything up, even though we have a vaccine. So what is it they're really doing? What is it they're really doing? Who knows? This headline from CNN Politics: Maxine Waters tells Jim Jordan to shut your mouth after GOP congressman feuds with Fauci. Fauci. I don't like trying to say his name. I do a horrible job at it. But here's what happened, okay? What happened was they were in the meeting, and they were talking about, Fauci saying, we need to close down longer, this, that, and the other. And Mr. Jim Jordan, he was like, okay, how long? Because y'all have been trying to say this stuff for over a year. And all you guys keep doing is pushing back the needle. Well, we need some definite numbers. We need a time. We need a time frame. We're going to open it up. Okay, I am going to ask you a question point blank, and I want a response point blank, a direct answer to a direct question. What say you? Maxine Waters didn't like all that. She told Jim Jordan, just shut your mouth. You don't need no answers. Isn't this something that, why? If they didn't keep moving the bar, maybe we would have everything open back up again. I mean, guys, okay, look, I'm a truck driver. I go driving multiple states. In the past year, since the COVID, since the pandemic, I have only wore a mask in a handful of places that absolutely demanded me to whenever I was out on the road because, well, if you got to eat, when you live out on the road, you got to eat. And if they're going to deny you service because you're not wearing a mask, I went into a Subway, all right? Going through the actual general store, they didn't care that I wasn't wearing a mask. They didn't argue with me. They didn't throw, nothing, because it's like, dude, if your mask works, then I don't need one. I hate the whole thing of like, well, if you sneeze, well, you're supposed to cover your mouth anyway, aren't you? Well, if you're wearing pants and you pee yourself, well, you're not going to get the person standing next to you. It's like, dude, you're talking about a liquid versus a gas. These type of analogies don't make any sense, and they're not actual valid arguments. But at any rate, I digress. I went into a Subway, not wearing my mask, and the guy who was behind the counter putting up bread, he was handling the food that he was going to give to the customers, not wearing a mask. And then I walked in there and he's like, oh, got to put my mask on. And he goes, oh, well, I can't serve you unless you're wearing a mask. And I'm like, we're just going to ignore the fact that you just put your mask over your face whenever you've seen me handling food that you're going to be giving, or I'm sorry, selling to a customer. And I'm just supposed to ignore that. Well, you're demanding I wear a mask in order to get service. Okay. I didn't care that he wasn't wearing a mask. I don't care. Because whenever you have a virus, okay, look at this, guys. Look at this. When you have a virus, go down here, these lower two numbers. Okay. The 31,678,932, that's the population. No, I'm sorry. That's the amount of confirmed cases that we have had in the COVIDs. These other numbers are really old. Don't pay attention to those. The 566,940 is the amount of people who has died from the COVIDs. That's a survival rate. Or I'm sorry, that's a death rate of 1.79%, a survival rate of 98.21%. The 328,953,020 is the total population of the U.S. based off the 2020 census, and that is a 0.17 death rate of the total population, 98.83% that has survived and not gotten anything of that number. So, okay, guys, those are just the actual numbers, the true facts. Look, I don't care about how many people are getting infected. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't care. Why don't I care? Because that number doesn't mean anything. That's like talking to me about how many people get the cold every single year. That's a lot of freaking people. How many people get sick enough to go to the hospital? How many people get sick enough to have to be put on a ventilation system? How many people actually die from it? How many people die in a car accident, but because they tested positive for the COVID, you're going to put on there that they died from COVID instead of dying of a car accident? How many of these people did you actually lie about and put that as a COVID death whenever it really wasn't a COVID death? When you tell me the truth in numbers, I'll be more apt to believe you. Until then, read between the lines. Just saying. These things absolutely drive me nuts, man. They really do. I'm not going to be honest with you. I'll believe Ted Cruz not wearing a mask whenever I see it. You know, and it's funny because a lot of these people, you know, Nancy Pelosi included, you know, they don't wear these masks. Unless they are in, I mean, look at this. Jim Jordan, not wearing it right. Dr. Fauci, who says that we should be wearing 2 masks. Is he wearing 2 masks? Is he wearing 2 masks? No, he's not. I don't get it, guys. I don't. I'm tired of this. I really am. It's driving me nuts. Shutting down our economy, shutting down our schools, shutting down everything, did it really help? Did we slow the spread? Did we? By all intents and purposes, I have only wore a mask when I absolutely, positively had to. maybe 10 times in the past year. Most of those was whenever I was getting food. Nothing in the past few months. I should be dead. According to the woke left, I should be dead. 10 states I've been in. I can't even tell you how many townships, how many towns, how many truck stops I've been in. I don't even know. In the past year, I have no clue. I ain't going to lie to you. I thought I might have gotten it once. I tested. Negative. Nothing. I was ticked. I wanted my COVID vacation, dadgummit. I didn't get it. I wanted my COVID paid vacation. Didn't get it. I was ticked. Now look, I'm not saying that the thing wasn't real. I'm not saying that there wasn't people who lost their lives because of it. Absolutely, there was. But the people that had issues were the people whom had pre-existing health conditions, were up there in age. They weren't school kids. I mean, the only ones of, under the age of 14, there was only a handful of them, and they were only ones who had comorbid health conditions, and other than that, no. So I'm not saying that it wasn't something that you needed to pay attention to, watch out for, and be careful of, because it was something that you needed to. However, it wasn't watching for as the normal, average, everyday citizen who goes to a job and goes out and does stuff. That's not those type of people you need to watch out for. It is limit your access to those who were the more at risk among us. The elderly, the sick. Those are the ones you need to be careful for. Outside of that, there was no need to live in fear over a virus with a 0.17% death rate. You shut down the economy over less than 1%. And many of those could have been saved if we would have actually used our brain. Michigan, California, New York. Yeah. But have no fear, Biden is here. Yeah, okay, whatever. Guys, that's all I got. That really is. Let me scroll through here a little bit just to see if there's anything worth mentioning, worth talking about. Nah, not really. Now, I mean, granted, there has been some other stuff that has come up in the news. The 13-year-old that got with the fatal shooting in Chicago. Maybe that wasn't Chicago. That's just what. Never mind. There's other stuff that we could talk about, but I am not read up on some of those other things, so I am going to leave them aside, and we may talk about those. Well, I'm sure I'll bring some of that stuff up next week because we have that to talk about. We also have, even the continued saga of Minneapolis and Portland, Oregon, with riots that are still going on. And we're also going to be talking a little bit about the hearing that's going on regarding the guy, the police officer involved in the death of George Floyd. We'll be talking a little bit about that as well. But again, that's stuff that we'll bring up next week. So until then, y'all have yourself a wonderful day. Thank you all for joining me. Good night. Sleep tight. And if the bed bugs bite, well, by golly, bite them back. This has been The Ho-Ho Show. For more information, you can head to thehohoshow.com. And for the merchandise store, you can head on over to stinkpickle.com. That is stinkpickle.com. Until next time.